Obviously excited to get out of the game with a victory. Hats off to William and Mary. They were kind of exactly what we thought that they were. They're extremely well coached. They played hard. They didn't make any mistakes. I would anticipate these guys winning some games. Obviously we got a long ways to go on all three sides of the ball. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Nick O'Toole. You talk about flipping the field. He averaged around 50 yards a punt, which when you're talking about hitting yardage is good. Our defense had great field position the whole day. One turnover on offense put them in a little bit of a bad situation. We held them to a field goal there. Offensively, we're obviously still trying to find an identity. I thought Paul managed the game well. Had one bonehead play where he dropped the ball on a sack, but other than that, I thought he managed it well. We'll get a lot better. We'll kind of look at the tape, and as guys see themselves in game situations, they will improve. Kind of been saying it. I think I said it to you guys last week. No matter what we do, you can't duplicate a game, and I don't care who you play. It doesn't matter who you play. There's plenty of FCS teams out there that are a little bit more happy than William and Mary is right now after beating some FBS teams. It happens every week. We were fortunate to get out of there without it happening to us. So would expect us to make a bunch of improvements on all three sides of the ball. Obviously next week is pretty important, going to Oklahoma, and we will prepare and try to get a little bit better. So I'll take some questions from there.
Coach, what made you go with Paul before this game? What went into that final decision to start him?
Closer it got, the communication with his experience, just with him, nonverbal communication with me and him, his experience on seeing the signals and communicating it. Clint's got more game experience, but without the game experience in our offense. Paul, I just felt a little bit more comfortable with Paul out there. Thought his tempo was really good the first three drives, especially that first one, we marched it right down and scored. The next two drives, we moved the ball. It fizzled out, but we moved the ball. Then after Paul got going a little bit, my plan was to kind of put Clint in the second quarter and see what happens. And 2, 3 and outs, I felt like it was appropriate to go back with Paul, and he did a pretty good job of managing the game. So just communication and putting the ball in play, getting the ball to some of our guys that can make plays.
Dan, what was the thought process of first half, trying the 55-yard field goal? William Mary comes back and scores the next two possessions. It really seemed to be a momentum swing. What was your thinking at the time going for a field goal?
Well, I've seen Josh make about 90% of those in practice. He's made 50-yard field goals consistently. Has got a good leg. Just didn't hit it, But he got that one out of his system, and then he came back and he knocked the next one through. Got all the confidence in the world of him. And putting that thing through the uprights. So I don't regret that decision, though.
After last year having to play so many freshmen and newcomers in the secondary, you went with Darryl Worley again late in the game in what's obviously a pressure situation. Any flashbacks or thoughts about having to do that again?
Well, he's shown he's a talented guy. I mean, he's 6'2" and he's fast and he's got good ball skills. I mean, the only way you get guys like that experience is you play them. He's beat out plenty of guys that played last year. So the more we play him, the better he's going to be. I thought we played pretty good defensively. Number 3 for them is a good player. What's his name? The Laws kid. I mean, he's a good player. Is that his name, or is it the McBride kid? Yeah, that Trey McBride. He's a good player. He made plenty of plays last year. We were in position to make a couple of those plays, and he won the battle.
Touched on O'Toole and what he was able to do. Can you go a little more in depth on that? I guess how important that was field position-wise, being able to set you guys up.
Yeah, I've been saying it for 3.5, 4 weeks that Coach DeForest is as good a special teams coordinator there is in the country. And the schemes that he's put in place, I feel really good about the amount of time that he's spent with Nick O'Toole, Molinari, Josh Lambert, as well as all the other guys. I mean, it's going to pay off, and it showed it today. I mean, we made a ton of plays in the kicking game. Nothing hurt us out there. Jordan should have caught that punt that hit and moved us down into the 5. I mean, that's probably the one thing that happened special teams wise that I was disappointed with. But other than that, you know, the hidden yardage point of view was something that we capitalized on. He's got a big leg. That's why we recruited him. You know, he's a big kid and he's got a good leg, and he's getting a lot of individual attention from Coach DeForest, which is paying off.
Do you like what you saw from the running backs today?
Yeah, it's disappointing we didn't get loose. You know, we ran the ball probably more than any time in the history of my coaching career. You know, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. They were dropping a lot of people. You couldn't really get a beat on whether they were going to drop them, whether you're going to blitz them. So when they were blitzing them, they were doing it from, you know, from a look that we felt good about the run game. So they did a good job at taking care of the football. You know, we handed to them a good bit. Thought Dreamus got us some big first downs on some second effort stuff. Wendell's second effort to get in the goal line was good. You know, Sims makes some guys miss, does some stuff that you don't really, you know, see that's kind of between the tackles and stuff. Was a little disappointed we didn't get anybody free. We didn't make a guy miss and get a big play, which I think we will once we, you know, as we go on.
Yeah, I know you take what teams give you, but do you see the personality of this team being a running type ball club rather than 50 passes a game?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite evident. We threw 27 passes, which, you know, I don't care. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, whatever we're good at is what we're going to do. You know, it doesn't matter if we win by 1 or win by 40 or if we throw 50 passes and win or rush the ball 50 times and win. We got to figure out what we do well. And Coach Crook's done a good job with those guys of developing that mentality of coming off and striking you. And we've worked hard on ball security. You know, we were a little bit uneasy at quarterback, as you guys can probably, you know, sense and figure out. So I think once they get a little bit more comfortable, Paul did some good things just as far as hitting some open guys on blitz. He got the ball out of his hands a lot, which was good. We'll look at the tape and we'll improve on it. I can guarantee you that.
When you went back to Paul, did you know you were sticking with him the rest of the way, or were you just going to give him a few more series and he showed you that he deserved to stay in at that point?
Yeah, I felt better about him just in the 3 drives that Paul did. And Clint's going to keep getting a bunch of reps, and he's going to continue to get better because what he's lacking is snaps in our offense, the communication, the getting the signals and relaying that to the rest of the offensive guys, and then obviously making the plays. His eyes weren't in the right place several times, which cost us and resulted in a couple of 3-and-outs. He'll be able to improve on that. It has nothing to do with his ability. He will be able to improve on that with just a bunch of snaps, and I would expect him to work hard on getting better and be ready when we need him.
Are you still 50-50 next week then?
I don't know. I mean, if I was to make a decision right now, it probably wouldn't be the case since how I played Paul the whole second half. But with that said, I mean, we'll look at the tape. There's some things that happened out there that I can't tell until we look at the tape with different checks and, you know, some decisions, but definitely felt a little bit more comfortable with Paul.
It seemed like the tempo really picked up in the second half, especially at the beginning with the offense. Was that a discussion you had at halftime with Paul?
Yeah, I would say so. You know, he did. I mean, he completed like 80% of his passes. I mean, he was pretty accurate. We just, again, when we fell behind, we were a little bit more interested in doing what we got to do to be able to get back into the game and win, which I felt like we did that. Felt like we were getting enough in the run game to be able to move the ball down and seal it there in the fourth quarter. But yeah, and again, I said the first quarter, I thought our tempo was great offensively. And then we sat there and we moped around for 4 or 5 series, and then we talked about that at halftime. We came back out and we played much quicker in the second half.
What do you see the difference between this year's defense and last year's being? I mean, you have to be a lot more comfortable with what you saw out there today.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same scheme. It's the same players. It's a different mentality. You know, our guys really played pretty good, other than just giving up a couple of big plays to the number 3 guys. You know, it's just our guys are going to have more confidence. They're going to give up plays. You know, I mean, what happened today with number 3 McBride making some plays, that's going to happen. I mean, next week when we play OU, I mean, they're going to have some guys that can make some plays. We got to be able to overcome that and just keep playing, which I think we did a really good job of that today.
On the long touchdown to Carswell, did the safety come up because the running game had been so effective?
Yeah, since how we're running the ball about 80% of the time at that point. You know, if I was them, I'd probably screw those safeties down as well. Was excited to see him in because he's got juice. He can run. You know, KJ and Ivan are guys that are physical. They're going to play a bunch of snaps. You know, they're going to get their hands on people and make great possession catches, but that they can't run like Ronnie can. So it was time for him to get in there and get behind him, and he did.
Danny, you played, I think, all 4 running backs, a lot of receivers, too. I know it's first game, but could it be like that for a while, or how much room is there for running backs and receivers to play?
What I saw today, and that was one thing that we mentioned at halftime, too, because we don't have, you know, a couple of really, 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 really good players like we did last year. I want guys that are 100% fresh. So I don't care if it's every snap or every other snap or every third snap. We're going to be rotating a lot of bodies in there. I would assume that we would play harder, we would play faster, we would have the ability to make more plays if we have fresh bodies in there. And it was hot out there today. It was probably the hottest day that we've had, you know, since we started August 1 camp. You know, so we feel good about the bodies that we played. We'll evaluate it, and you know, the way we pick our position guys is well. You know, just because you're a starter doesn't mean you're going to play 50% of the reps. You know, I mean, just depending on how good you get is going to be, you know, and how many reps you can handle is going to be the percentage that you actually play.
You can play with 4 receivers at a time. You can only really play 2 backs. Can you play, or is it hard enough just to get 3
backs, receivers?
Running backs.
Well, we played a lot of 3 back. You know,
Well,
Cody being one of the 3.
I mean, yeah, it's like that's your true halfbacks, right?
Right.
Line snaps for 4, or is it you cut it off at 3 maybe, or?
You got any ideas? No. Yeah, I've never done 4 running backs. I mean, she's looking at this. We probably ought to. I don't know.
Well,
I've said Charles probably could be one of our best receivers. We just lined him up there. You know, but
you're going to run it 80% of the time, like you're saying. There might be room.
I never said that. I mean, maybe yeah, we did have a quarterback complete 80-some% of his passes, so I was happy with that.
Did you just run out of positions for Pat Eager to play today?
He played a lot, didn't he?
He played a lot.
That was our plan. I mean, Pat was team captain for a reason. He's got the ability to be able to play guard, center, guard. You know, and just because Pat didn't start didn't mean that Pat probably played the majority of the snaps from an offensive lineman. He wasn't a starter. That's just his role. He's embraced it, and he's good at it.
Dana, what is your main concern heading out of this? Is it lack of big plays?
Where do you want me to start? You know, I mean, we're going to a place that's incredibly, incredibly hard to play. I mean, they're very well coached. They got lots of good players. We're very inexperienced. You know, we had one guy make a big play, but I don't know. I got lots of concerns. We'll watch the tape and we'll try to get better at a few of them.